weird. But if it's a campfire, and I'll agree with you with the like brightness, fine, whatever.
The brightness is mostly my issue.
Right, but I think that like the shape. But
I question how often they would be building big old bonfires.
Yeah.
But
It's not something you do every night. There's not enough fuel.
But in fairness,
know.
it's not like the Aborigines reported this like as a constant occurrence. It's something that has been reported more and more with the more technology in Australia.
And the prevalence of brighter lights.
Yeah.
I understand that. I like the theory. It doesn't solve it all for me.
No.
If you read the older accountings, it's especially the ones where it's moves towards and past somebody. That's when I'm really like, wait, what the hell? That doesn't work. If indeed it does pass somebody.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I look at this phenomenon as basically being kind of like a rainbow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an optical illusion. It's a refraction. Same thing. Actually, a rainbow is just refraction also.
Well, but
and try to catch the end of a rainbow, can you?
But
you can't really.
The other thing that this can't do is it can't cast light at a specific point. In other words, if you see it, it's an optical illusion. It's a ways away. It's not going to light up the ground underneath where you see it, which people have said they have seen it lighting up the area around it. So again, there's something that's
the problem. So either his theory is bogus or these people's accounts are bogus.
One of the two.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go on to theory number 27.
72, I think.
Yeah, it's something like that. This theory is natural electrical discharges.
Which I kind of discount.
And I'll be honest, I don't completely understand the science behind this, but I'm going to try and explain it anyway. Mm-hmm. So the theory is that there are certain minerals in the area that are undergoing some sort of mechanical stress, and that stress is, as a result, creating an electrical charge, and these things are able to retain that charge rather than immediately dissipating it right back away.
Which I find hard to believe.
And it's at night that those charges are then being let go, and that's what people are seeing. And this process of things building up an electrical charge through some form of mechanical action is known as piezoelectricity, I believe is how you say it.
Yeah.
And that stress can be, according to what I've read, a lot of different things. It can be, people say it's tectonic forces, it's magnetic forces, it's vibrations caused by sound, or the striking of objects against one another, so like sand against a rock in the wind maybe. And it can be a lot of different materials, but apparently they have to have some sort of crystalline structure to them to be able to retain the charge. So it's really kind of interesting is that this theory or this piezoelectricity, this is pretty common. It's actually what the igniter on your barbecue does.
Oh yeah,
that's how it works.
It's very commonly used.
I didn't know that. It's pretty cool.
No,
So like I said, it's the theory is that there are multiple things building up charge in the day, and then at night they're letting it go, and that's what people are seeing. The problem is that nobody has ever been able to make but the smallest of sparks with this process.
Well,
yeah.
What's that?
I said, yeah, it's silly.
No, it is. It's kind of like the idea that you can apply like put two wires on a light bulb, cause the light bulb to light up, and then lift the light bulb off of those wires, float it through the air, and the light bulb is going to stay lit up somehow. That's basically what this theory says.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, it's ludicrous.
Yeah, so it's luminescent bugs.
Yeah.
Next theory is awesome because it had to be made in the 70s, and that is psychic influence.
No.
Yeah. And the theory, if I understand it, which honestly I don't, is that the viewer is psychically projecting their thoughts ahead of them, and they are seeing that, maybe. And that's what is causing the light.
Doesn't really explain how they're like passing in the night.
Well, actually, I mean,
that's a Freudian thing.
That actually explains it better than the other theories, because if it's all in your head, then sure, the lights can go wherever they want.
I guess that's true.
It's all in your head.
Yeah.
Except the lights don't pass through things ever, which if they were all in your head, I would imagine that they could go anywhere that you looked. So it
No
seems
idea.
weird. Yeah, I have no idea on this one. The last theory that I have,
you have,
that I have, and then you're gonna parade out something, Don't know what it is yet. Surprise.
If I had that black book that you have, I'd have it out.
You'd be tapping it as I do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting. Come on.
Yep.
My turn. Okay. Last theory that I have is that it is ghosts and or poltergeists, to which I say boo.
Boo.
No. There is some folklore to this. Western folklore says that these kind of lights, typically they're people who have done bad things in their life and are then doomed to eternity to wander the world at night, and they are using this light to attract people and lead them astray. If you go to Eastern folklore, there's a similar vein. Sometimes they say it's demons. Sometimes they say that it is local people who have died and are trying to help or maybe lead astray the other locals that are around them. I mean, this is all based on like the will-o'-wisp folklore, which is really like there's some crazy stories that people have come up with to describe them, like extremely elaborately. Suddenly they deal with the devil and God and heaven and hell, and like all these things get wrapped up into it, and it's really quite surprising. I didn't realize how big some of that was.
Yeah.
But, the thing about it is like if you look at all the evil people that have died, all the dead bodies around the world, they're pretty evenly distributed.
Yeah.
And yet this particular phenomena occurs in only a few places.
Well, there's bad dead people magnets.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. All the bad people move to and die in these places that have these certain meteorological
It's a subdivision
phenomena.
for the dead.
Yeah, that go on, in which there are these atmospheric inversions. That's where the evil people go to die. I mean, that must be what it is.
I mean, that's I don't know. I mean, I'm not a big proponent of it being ghosts and ghoulies.
No.
Well, I have one.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
Meteor showers?
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay.
And
Well,
flesh this out
with
for
like
me.
a few, and this is just obviously going off of the list provided, right? But with one outlier, most of these fit pretty solidly into what I understand has been the history of the Leonid meteor showers in Australia.
I think it's a different meteor shower I'm thinking of.
And I like went through and kind of circled like, okay, so this is a date that, a year where it was at its kind of peak. And I can understand how when you see something flaming coming out of the sky, I'm willing to say that part of it could be your perception of time pausing a little bit, right? That things maybe aren't hovering as much as you're like, oh my God, that thing.
The time
and
standing still.
And your brain makes it stand still.
Have you seen a fireball though ever?
Have I personally?
Yeah,
No.
I saw one once years ago, and it didn't last very long.
No, but I think, if you're out by yourself in the middle of nowhere and you're seeing, you're driving fast, right? A lot of these are people in cars.
In modern times.
In modern times, there are people in cars driving fast towards a thing that might be hurtling fast to the earth. There could be a perception of that thing is getting closer to me while I'm getting closer to it, and so it's coming towards me, or it's going further away.
But a meteor does come down pretty quick, and people have reported, like 15 or 20 minutes of travel with this thing in pursuit.
Mm-hmm.
So that causes me pause with
I
your
agree.
theory.
Yeah, meteors don't last more than a few seconds.
Sure.
Really.
Granted.
Yeah.
But during a shower, right, like what's to say that it's not like a bunch of different ones, because you're obviously not
You're
just,
looking
like,
away
staring
and looking
at
back.
it, right?
Okay.
Granted. Okay, it's not a great theory, but then the outlier here,
It's good as some others, so yeah.
and the outlier here would be the farmer who was on his tractor.
Oh, the guy who heard the noise?
And
in 1974.
And one looked behind the boulder.
Yeah, and he
there
said that
was.
it was burning orange yellow, and then it turned green, and then it died out. And the sound that he was describing, I would not say was unusual for like an actual flame.
If it was, there are some things I've heard things when they burn,
And then they burn
they
hot.
make that high pitched noise.
Right. And actually, do you know what burns green? Because it turns out not a lot of things burn green. But do you know
Phosphorus.
borax. And do you know what they use as fertilizers for crops? Borax.
It's not just for cleaning.
Nope. Not just
Okay.
for cleaning.
Yeah.
So it's reasonable to assume, in my mind, that something caught fire. Whether it was, again, like a meteor, but there weren't really meteor showers at that time. But there was something that caught fire behind a boulder, and it was burning, and he was just like,
He never
That's
reported
weird.
smoke, though.
It doesn't have to have smoke. I mean, you've been in a chemistry lab for long enough to know.
Yeah,
right?
some things actually burn pretty clean.
Yeah.
No, no,
Especially
they never let me in the chemistry lab.
Borax actually burns really clean.
Okay.
This makes me
Didn't know
want to
that.
burn some borax,
Yeah.
actually. It does.
No, but I mean,
Yeah.
so that's one of those interesting things where as soon as you start talking about like, well, it was green, like that's a thing that burns clean, that burns really hot, that burns pretty fast, that can condense down, and that is seen in areas of agriculture where this farmer would have been. So I think there could be a combination of things. I'm not saying that it's the best theory, but I also do think it's interesting that these meteor showers do seem to coincide pretty concretely with at least the curated list that you've provided.
And I think that might be a danger because it is just a randomly curated list just
Yeah.
for the different accounts.
But
It
they
is.
come
Yeah.
through. I don't know.
And, let's not forget that there could be more than one explanation.
Thank you. That was where I was going to go next.
I
is that
mean,
we're out of theories, and
there's a
personally, I
lot.
don't think it's a single theory.
I don't think so
No,
either.
I don't think so
Yeah.
either. Yeah.
I think that as with a lot of unusual natural phenomena, I think that this is probably a bucket load of different things
I would
causing
agree.
similar.
Yeah, everything from from refraction to mushrooms. But who was it? Was it McKimmon or McKimmon? What was the guy's name?
What guy?
The professor that parked the car and what was his name?
Pettigrew.
Pettigrew.
Yeah, there was no M in his name. It was just Pettigrew.
That was
Started with a
Pettigrew.
P.
Yeah. Now, so Pettigrew, I think his theory actually accounts for the vast majority of sightings. In that,
I would agree.
It's something that can't be caught up with, like a rainbow, which would describe an article over, something over the horizon, like the moon or a fire or car headlights or whatever, and they're always moving away from you, of course. Okay, so yeah, I think that accounts for the vast majority of them. Some of it could be misreporting, could be outright lying, could be, perhaps the influence of drugs. There's all kinds
Yeah, I
of
mean, these
things.
stories are always, as we know, anyone who's listened to the show knows, as well as us who have done all the research, that how easily these stories can be embellished and inflated. So
Oh yeah,
that's
not
a
just
very
by
good
the
point.
not just by the people who said they saw the thing, but by
Well, yeah,
by
after
all the
fact.
people who retell the story.
But what's interesting
that happens a
though
lot
is
too.
some of the older ones, it seems, may have been direct accountings because they were in the newspapers and stuff.
Uh-huh.
So that gives you more of a concrete. It doesn't morph as much if it's being told true to what was in the paper. And again, that's up for interpretation.
If the paper told true to what the person
Right.
actually said, because
Right.
frankly, the press was not any more responsible back in those days than they are today.
Yep.
So
All right, well, that's all I've got on the Min. We should probably get to the part that everybody listens for,
Yeah.
which is our awesome administrative details.
oh yeah,
All right.
I love these. No.
So this episode, as well as all of our episodes, are available on our website for streaming or download, as well as links for some of our research. Obviously not all of it, but some of it. That website is thinkingsidewayspodcast.com. You can stream and download the site from a number of places. So if you use iTunes, please do take the time to leave a comment and a rating. If you are streaming, there's all kinds of services, Google Play, Stitcher, there's a whole gajillion others out there. So whichever one you use, awesome. You can find us on there. And if they allow you to rate or review, please do it there.
Hell yeah.
We're on
rating.
We're on social media.
And
Oh yeah.
I just want to quickly say this is how far in advance we record. If you follow us on social media, we're going to be at CrimeCon 2017.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. I almost forgot.
And we're promising no masks, although I guess
No, we're not totally
keep that
promising
from
I
that.
might wear my Nixon mask.
Yeah, we're saying no masks. We might be wearing masks, and you won't know, and it'll be fine. But CrimeCon is giving us some promo codes. I know the guys from Generation Y are going to be there. I know that there's going to be they've got a great panel of forensic scientists and like actual people.
It's going to be cool.
It's going to be really
3
cool.
days?
Yeah, and we'll be there.
And there'll be a police SWAT team outside.
Yep, to escort us away after bad things happen. But the best way to keep up to date on any promotions that we are able to offer and negotiate for you guys to like make it a little more affordable for everyone, that's going to be on the social media, which is Facebook and Twitter, is how we'll be doing those.
Yeah, we're gonna put all that stuff on there. So for Facebook, we have the Facebook page and we have the Facebook group. So the Facebook group is members only, a lot of good conversation. You can join the group if you want. We will be putting information about CrimeCon in the group. We're also going to put it up on the main page, so whichever one you follow, absolutely up to you. It's going to be there. Twitter, if you want to follow us on Twitter, we are Thinkin' Sideways without the G in the middle. We also have a subreddit, which is Thinking Sideways. There's a pattern here every time. I realize it.
/ stab.
That's totally, it is. It is Thinking Sideways / stab die. That is the name of the subreddit.
Pretty sure. Yeah. Look that one up. Have fun.
Now, if you want to get a hold of us, you're more than welcome to do that through the means that we've just talked about on social media, or you can send us an email. So if you've got story suggestions, you've got concerns, you've got questions, general accolades, whatever it is, you can send us an email at thinkingsidewayspodcast@gmail.com. We answer all emails. Sometimes, depending on what's going on, it takes us longer because we got like 20 yesterday, so it's going to take us a while to get back to everybody, so just be aware of that, but we will respond. Now, ways that you can support the show, well, there's a number of them. We have merchandise. We've got stickers and shirts and coffee mugs and phone cases, all that stuff. We've got 2 different stores. So we've got a Zazzle store and a Redbubble store. The links for both of those are in the right-hand panel on the website, so just go there. You'll see the links. Click on them. Go enjoy. If you would like to donate directly to the show, we do have a PayPal account, so you can donate whatever you feel comfortable doing directly through PayPal. Or if you want, we do have Patreon. Patreon is a recurring donation system, so for every episode that goes out, whatever you pledge per, that's the amount that you'll pay per episode. So remember, it's a per episode thing.
Yeah, feel free to pledge $100 an episode. Just recognize it's not a one-time contribution. But feel free.
We have those means out there. They are by no means a requirement. Thank you for everybody who is donating to the show financially. We do appreciate it. It helps us out with a lot of things, but not a requirement. That's really all that I've got here for this. So unless you guys have anything else, I think it's time for lights out.
I think,
Yeah, I think so too. I got nothing. Thinking Sideways is not brought to you by Zombie Yard Gnomes. Instead, it's brought to you by Credit Karma. So, when's the last time you checked your credit scores? Because your scores may change more often than you think, and you should know what they are now and not just a year from now when you might be thinking about buying a house or something. You should know now. So Credit Karma is here to help you out. The best thing is Credit Karma is always free, and there's no catch. No credit cards, no payment needed at all. So go to creditkarma.com or download the Credit Karma app now. Thinking Sideways.
Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Thinking Sideways. I am Steve, as usual, joined by
Devin
and Joe.
And this week we're going to talk about something that is classified as a miracle by the Catholic Church.
But some people aren't so sure, so I guess that makes it a mystery, right?
It does, because not everybody believes that the Church is right. And this is known as the miracle of the sun or the miracle of Fatima. I do want to say that this was a listener suggestion, suggested by Mel. So thank you, Mel.
Thanks,
appreciate
Mel.
it. This was a good one. So here's what happened is, according to accounts by witnesses, on the 13th of October, 1917, as promised, a miracle took place. And what that miracle was that the sun appeared to dance across the sky, to move closer to and then farther away from the earth, and to shine in many different colors. So that is the miracle itself right there.
Sounds like mushrooms to me.
Well, before we talk about the miracle and the mushrooms, there's some backstory, and we should cover that. So let's get into that part first.
But
Quick disclaimer.
Yeah.
Okay. So this story deals with Catholic faith and religious iconography and practices, and I am by no means an expert in that, and I've done my best here, but if I flub something, give me a little bit of room here. And also, as always with stories that are seated in religious faith, I don't want anybody to take what we're saying as in any way, shape, or form mocking. That's not the intention. We're simply talking about the subject at hand. This is not, something where we're talking overarching about the Catholic or any other religious faith.
just understand that we love everyone.
Yeah.
Except for Nazis.
Yeah.
What's wrong with Nazis?
Lots of things.
Oh,
We
okay.
can't go into that now.
Okay, so let's go into this instead. So our story takes place in the little town of Fatima in Portugal. There were, in the spring of 1917, excuse me, 3 children. It's 10-year-old Lucia Santos and her cousins, 7-year-old Jacinta and 9-year-old Francisco Marto. They were watching Lucia's father's flock of sheep in an area that is locally known as Cova da Iria. I hope I'm pronouncing it.
Yeah.
I think that's what I remember
Cova da Iria?
hearing it, but I could be wrong. But translates to the Cove of Irene.
All right.
In English. The accounts of their day vary. There's a whole, as with a story like this and of this age, there's always variations.
Well, also because they're 10 and 7.
Right. Well, and so most of the stories, they say that they led the flock to the cove, and then they ate their lunch and they played. Some versions say they spent time under a large tree. Others say that they spent time in a cave to avoid a rainstorm. Either way, at around noon, the 3 children said their rosaries, their prayers, and at that point they said they saw an apparition, which was bright light that to them looked like lightning, but they said that was weird because it wasn't cloudy.
Which means it must not have been raining?
Probably, I'm thinking this is the non-rainstorm version.
Because if it was raining, it might have just been lightning.
Right. Exactly.
Great.
So,
But no. Okay.
But no.
so in this accounting, it seems that maybe this is the non-rainy version. So that bright light happens, and in it they see a figure, and they approach that figure. The figure doesn't immediately identify itself, but eventually they would come to find out that
It's Bruce Willis.
It's not Bruce Willis.
No?
Eventually they would come to discover that it was the Virgin Mary, the mother of Jesus.
Yeah.
She told the children that she wanted them to, and she gave them a set of instructions. Those instructions were to say their rosaries every day and to come back to that location on the 13th of each month for a total of 6 months. And in exchange, she would share not only her identity, because they at this point don't know who she is, but she would also impart to them knowledge. She would give them some visions, and then eventually they would ask, through their meetings, they would then ask, for proof, and then that's where the miracle of the sun happened. It was on the 7th month.
Okay.
So once Mary is done sharing her vision, she rises into the sky in a halo of bright light and disappears into the distance. And that's their first encounter with the Virgin Mary.
Okay.
I do need to point out, so as Devin briefly mentioned, they are 10, 9, and 7. So their accountings, how accurate this is hard to say. The other problem with it is that all of this story, primarily in its written form, comes from Lucia Santos, because she would write down an accounting of what happened in her visions 20-some years after the fact. So a little bit of fact and fiction time. It's hard to piece the two apart. But she said, at least in the accountings, that this was not the first time that the children had been visited by an apparition. In the prior year, 1916, they had been visited by an angel on 3 separate occasions.
Oh, damn.
Which appears to be in preparation for their meeting with Mary, I guess.
Yeah, they were being vetted, probably.
Yeah, probably.
It was like a screening interview.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the phone screen.
It's the holy screening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That may be it. Now, I've truncated the heck out of the encounters and what was said. And if anybody's interested in that, we'll put a link on the website that has the text included.
You
so
may
that'll be out
also
there.
be familiar with a televised rendition of this story.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
I will not say exactly what it is, but you probably have seen it.
Probably. So continuing on, so the children hold up their end of the deal. They pray their rosaries every day, and they plan to go back on the 13th of the month, and they do go back on the 13th of each month. And people, somehow word gets out about what they say they saw.
I think that's because the kids told everybody.
Well, at least one of them spilled the beans, and then word got around. And so witnesses, people who wanted to witness what the children were seeing, would show up on the 13th around noon to see it as well. It's unclear to me if anybody besides the children was seeing her.
My the accounts that I read of this is that lots of people kept going back every month,
Right.
and more all the time, and nobody else ever saw the Virgin Mary besides the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was my understanding as well, but it was also my understanding that there were a number of people who believed that it was okay that they weren't being given the gift of seeing the kids interact with her or whatever was like proof enough that it was actually happening in their eyes, at least.
Yeah.
But some people were also like, I can't see her. What's going on?
Yeah, there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
I guess. I'm making
Either that, or even if it is real, what's the point of being here? If she's not going to show herself to me, I might as well go ahead and read about it later.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's very
Why
true.
waste my time standing around here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So through these encounters, Mary would eventually share the visions with the children. Visions 1 and 2 were the visions of what heaven looked like and what hell looked like.
Sure.
Vision 3 is weird, and it didn't come out till she didn't write it and share what it was, Lucia, until the mid 40s, maybe the late mid 50s.
I thought it was like.
But the church didn't release it until the 60s.
Yeah, I thought it was like late 30s, but I could be wrong.
Again, I'm not sure because the church sealed it right away, and they wouldn't let it out because
of course.
it was time sensitive, I guess. Because it talked about the war, like, World War II at that time. But what's really weird about it is that it talks about the role of Russia in the world and how if they... I'm in my interpretation or understanding of this, how if they didn't take on Catholicism properly, they were going to lead the world down a wrong path.
Which they kind of did. She was right.
Well, in a way, she was. But a lot of people have interpreted her message, and there's been ridicule of this third message. So I don't know what to think of it. It's very confusing to me, but I'm not very good with these kind of theology things. So,
The thing about it is that if she did indeed write it 20 years later, and I think she did, and it was well known by that point of what path Russia was on.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't look that miraculous of a prediction, really.
Right.
Even though lots of it came true, well, duh.
You read the papers, you
Pretty
get an idea, you write it, you hope you're right. Yeah.
It would be miraculous if in 1917 she was told that, though.
Yeah, that's right, when
I
the
mean,
Russian Revolution was happening and nobody knew that it was going to turn out to be hell on earth the way it did.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, and maybe when she first wrote it, maybe she had a version of early memo of it, and that's why the church sealed it and said you can't write all this till later on. I have no idea. And the recording of it, again, there are so many versions that it makes it really tough.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we've started to fall down a is it theological?
Yeah.
It is. It's a theological rabbit hole.
Yeah.
We started to fall down that, and I think we need to kind of dance around that because that's not really the focus of the episode.
Right.
The miracle of the sun itself is. So this is the children were told that on the 13th of October, 1917.
That would have been the 7th month, right?
Yep, that would be the 7th month.
When
so
Mary
they had
was
their
going to
first
show them
6
something
encounters.
really badass, in her own word, to quote her directly. Yeah.
She did use that word. It's
Yeah.
true.
She did.
Yeah.
She was going to make a miracle happen at noon.
Yeah.
Okay. So like with the appearances, the early visits of Mary, when the children, we were talking about people were showing up, a bunch of people showed up because this miracle, they blabbed and told everybody.
Right.
We don't know how many people were really there. it is recorded as somewhere between 10,000 and 100,000 people
That
were
seems
there.
like a lot.
Yeah, I don't know how big the Cove of Irene was, but it seems to me it wasn't big enough for 100,000 people.
I don't think it could have sat that many.
And that's like 100 times more listeners than we have, so I don't think.
Yeah, that's not possible.
I think
Not
that's possible.
That map doesn't
Yeah,
work.
No.
that would actually tick me off as three annoying little kids who had more listeners than we did.
Yeah.
You know, seriously.
Me too.
Yeah.
But no, so all of these people show up to witness the miracle. And accounts say, okay, again, this is where it varies. Either it started raining the night before or the morning of the predicted miracle. But the rain would stop just before noon. The ground was wet from the rain. And there are photos, and you see people with umbrellas. But
I think I've only seen one photo, actually, where people had umbrellas.
I've seen 2 or 3.
Oh, yeah?
But, it's of a time and an era where people had umbrellas with them. It's part of fashion, so it's hard to say. But it looks like a clear day to me in those images. It doesn't look like it's cloudy. It actually kind of looks like a nice, bright, sunny day, to be very
Well,
honest.
it's Portugal. I understand the weather there is kind of nice.
And at that time of year, as we'll talk about later, it's not really a bad season. But regardless of what the weather was, at noon, everyone looked up towards the sun.
Because it was clear.
Maybe. So they looked up at the sun to see the miracle take place.
Okay.
And here's what they say they saw. People say they saw the sun appear as an opaque spinning disc in the sky.
Is that kind of like the spinning wheel of death I got on my computer? When
Sometimes,
Blows up
yeah,
on
but
me?
it goes much faster than that, so it doesn't have all the
bigger, I
colors
suppose.
obvious.
Okay.
No, so it was a spinning disc in the sky. It was said to be significantly duller than normal, and it also supposedly cast multicolored lights on everything. So the landscape, the people, the surrounding clouds. The sun was also reported to careen towards the landscape and the people, and then to bounce around in the surrounding sky before going back to its normal position. The previously wet clothes of people who were there, as well as the ground from the rainstorm, they were wet, dried out because the sun got closer, and so it got warmer and it dried them all out. So it was suddenly and completely dry. But just like the earlier visions, not all of the people who were there say they saw something happen. A lot of them would report one of those things, but not all of those things. But a great many people also said, I didn't see anything. So I'm not entirely sure either how long this whole thing lasted. Did it take a minute? Did it take 10? We don't know. But the people who were there, a great majority of them, were convinced that it truly was a miracle.
Hopefully they weren't staring at the sun for 10 minutes straight.
I really hope not. That's really bad for you. Don't do that. We just had an eclipse. Everybody knows. Sun safety. Good glasses.
Don't stare at the sun. Don't do it.
Yeah,
Because it embarrasses the sun. Staring is rude.
good point.
So a lot of the information that we have about the miracle of the sun was done because an Italian priest named Father, oh God, help me here, John DeMarchi? Does that sound right?
Sounds fair.
DeMarchi.
DeMarchi.
DeMarchi, okay.
It's always the emphasis
John
is in the
DeMarchi.
middle of the syllables.
Always just say it like I'm saying Luigi. John DeMarchi.
I mean, honestly,
Yeah,
yes.
we'll go with that.
Sorry.
So John DeMarchi would research the miracle of the sun, and he would interview a whole bunch of people who were there that day. Sadly, he didn't start doing this until 1943.
That's a little...
26 years after the fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a long time.
Yeah.
Well, a long time for people to get their stories straight.
Or
Yeah.
to let them grow.
Yeah.
If you water them right, your stories will always grow.
Yeah.
So he spent about 7 years researching the miracle, and he actually wrote more than one book about it. But I'm going to take a couple of quotes of what people said they saw, and we're going to share them here just so you can get a kind of a direct quote idea. I want you two to help me, so who wants to start? You want me to start, or when do you want
I
to go?
can start. The sun, at one moment surrounded with scarlet flame, at another aureoled in yellow and deep purple, seemed to be an exceedingly swift and whirling movement, and at times appearing to be loosened from the sky and to be approaching the earth, strongly radiating heat.
Nice. I'll do the next one.
All right.
The sun's disk did not remain immobile. This was not the sparkling of a heavenly body, for it spun round on itself in a mad whirl when suddenly a clamor was heard from all the people. The sun whirling